Smile, scream, sister, sadistic, surprise, oh, hiya, my Oni-chan. 妹のファーストパイタチ奪っちゃう
No.
A silver-haired beauty, Alia Mikhailovna Kujo, makes a dazzling entrance to cause an uproar at Siren Academy, whose father is Russian. This chick with Russian genes seems to be excelling in literally everything and is known to be a student council treasurer. Suddenly, Ando, from his second year, tries to get cheesy with this chick, asking her out for lunch right in public. But hey, this beauty has no time for a dumbhead loafer like him. After rejecting a super popular diva boy from the academy, everyone wonders how much higher her standards are. Later, she settles down on her desk, making everyone gasp at her mesmerizing presence, and the first thing she does is wish Kuza a good morning. With no quick response, she blows a kick to his chair, almost making the lad trip over, asking if he again binged anime overnight. Upon asking, Kuza mentions chit-chatting with his otaka mates for straight up to 2 hours. Though this chick desires to know if he has dumped his brain somewhere, Kuze states he is a fool for expressing his love for a piece of work regardless of time. With her usual huffy-puffy attitude, she considers this guy to be a hopeless fool. Watching him yawn like a buffoon, she slips out, saying he looks cute but quickly changes her mind when Kuze catches him. So she ends up calling this brat an ugly mess. Afterwards, struggling to get to his chemistry textbook, he asks Alia if he could borrow it. Thus, this chick learns that this dimwit again forgot his book at home, so she gives in. Attaching their desk, Alia notices Kuze dozing off, so she pierces him with a pencil and the dude raises his hand like a class clown. Just then, his teacher demands an answer right away, but Kuju points at the book to be copper, which, by the way, was a trap for this sleepyhead. After spitting out the wrong answer, the professor goes for Alia, who ends up hitting the right answer, which is nickel. Though the lad tries to confront this crazy chick, she again ends up calling him cute but changes her words rather quickly to call him a fool for the second time. Flipping his lad, his whacked brain can't get what this chick is up to, as Alia notices him blushing like a baby. Looking at her, Kuze remembers playing with a Russian girl near his grandpa's house, so he bets that he knows most of the Russian language. However, this cracked brain has no clue how he ended up sitting with a Russian beauty who uses Russian to hide her feelings. However, imagining her flushed and blushed body collapsing when knowing he knows Russian concerns him even more, as it sends shivers down his spine. Later on, Alia, ever the grumpy chick, scolds Kuza for breaking school rules by using his phone at school, but the lad shuts her up by saying it is for an emergency. Upon asking, Kuza shared that his free card draw would be over in 10 minutes, which annoyed our grumpy queen, Alia. Out of the blue, Kuze screams at the top of his lungs about getting SSR Tsukoyami, but Alia sees this golden chance to confiscate his phone right under his nose. But the chick learns he landed a moon goddess from Japanese mythology, and her silver hair concerns her even more. Kuza believes it matches the moon, but asks her to dump the details and admire her beauty instead. Getting off a stinky eye, she hands his phone back to him as she watches him drool over Lord Tsukoyami. Just then, he hears Alia using Russian to tell him she is silver-haired as well, fooling him into calling her a dimwit loser. And this catches the poor loser off guard, trying to act like he didn't hear anything. At lunch, Baldi cries hard, yearning to be popular. Out of the blue, the lot watches the student council beauties emerge out of nowhere, where Alia and her sister Maria are having trouble finding seats. So Maria, the secretary, decides to have a bite with her classmates instead, as Yuko Suu, the public relations girl, gets adjusted to their wishes. Everyone is drooling over those girls, as this guy tells Kuza that Maria Kuju got a boyfriend. However, Kuza bet Takeshi stands no chance before that doll anyway. But Takeshi, fuming mad, tells this dude to drop his cocky attitude just because he knows Alia Kuju. Well, Baldi's jealous bum can't digest the fact that he got personal nickname privileges with Alia. While Kuza ponders hard about Alia, Lady bets he got a chance with Sue instead. However, the other guy thinks that Chick is far better at rejecting confessions than the Kuju sisters. Just then, Suo, blushing like a ripped tomato, asks Kuza if he has enough seats over his table. Looks like Takeshi's dream is about to come true. While Kuza and Sue eat the same ramen, they wonder to bring up about putting some chili oil on the menu. Ever the grumpy doll, Alia asks if these two are close, as Sue mentions being Kuza's childhood friend since kindergarten. Although she wishes to get to know Alia better, Alia thinks she might not have enough fun with her, but that wouldn't stop Alia from giving it a try. After Takeshi and the other guy leave as they can't handle such a bright table, Sue, getting closer, asks Kuza if he is running on the offer to join the student council. Watching Sue get closer, our grumpy queen, Alia, doesn't like where this is going. He bluntly rejects the thought, but Sue explains how he was a top-notch vice president of the middle school student council, which catches Alia off guard. Although he lets Alia know that it was just to help Sue, the president and vice president had to team up. Moreover, Sue reveals how Kuze can handle such serious tasks when he needs to, which she bet might come off as a shock to Alia. However, Alia mutters in Russian that she has known that for a long time. Afterward, Alia shares how she never thought this ugly loser had a female friend as well, but this dude reminds this chick that she is her female friend too. It came as a shock to her as she walked out in a hurry. A few years ago, Kuze ran off to the field to find a blonde Russian chick waiting for him in the playground, and she invited him to enjoy the sunset. Suddenly, Kuze wakes up and wonders how the lad mastered Russian just to talk to that chick, but he doesn't remember her name at all. The next day, Kuze and Alia got the duty of cleaning the classroom, as this ugly loser did a perfect job before Alia made an entrance. Although this chick's fury knows no bounds seeing Kuze wake up this early. He notices the dirt on her knee, and Alia mentions getting hit by a splash from a passing truck, but she got spares. Upon asking, Kuze talks about not joining the student council at all. Moving on, Alia notices him blushing to see her thighs, so she orders Kuze to fetch her socks. After that, she asks for his help to put it on, which catches him off guard. Alia calls this a reward for helping her out, but she mutters in Russian that it's a reward for her too. With a sigh, Kuze wonders why she likes hiding behind Russian to express herself, calling this a new technique to vent her stress. After Alia calls him a wimp, he forcefully puts her sock on her leg and ends up touching at the very wrong place, which wins him Alia's special high kick up his face. After whining about his foot fetish with his sister, Kuze tries catching up with Alia, but Alia mutters in Russian to call him a foot fetish pervert. With his sorry ass apologizing, she apologizes for kicking him this hard. Just then, she gets closer to see if he hurt his neck, but that sends a shiver down his spine. Suddenly, he blurts out his thanks for showing something nice to him this way. And boy, that came out really wrong. Alia, with her eyes wide as saucers, wonders if he has seen through her undies. A sudden smacking punch blows this ugly loser away as he watches her run like Flash. Now these two are sprinting in the corridors, chasing each other like Tom and Jerry. After 10 minutes, these two catch their breath on the stairs. Kuze straight up apologizes for being an utter fool as she admits her fault too. Out of the blue, he whips out red bean soup to present to his princess as a token of his apology. Though the lad knows it is her favorite, she excuses being thirsty to have a sip. Just then, she mutters in Russian, asking if he would like a sip, which jolts his brain, thinking this chick needs an indirect kiss. But this dude has no courage to confront her. Alia suddenly laughs, saying in Russian how this dumbhead knows nothing, as Kuze has had enough of this crap. Yuki calls Masachika into the storeroom for help, hence he is surprised to find Elisa there. It dawns on him that Yuki set him up. After a while, they all start organizing the storage room. Yuki asks Masachika to retrieve the games from the upper drawer. Thus, the boy brings down the games and hands them to her. Yuki then tells him about the game she played the other day. However, Elisa interrupts them and tells them to work more and talk less. At this, they both get back to work. Funnily, Elisa mutters to the boy in Russian to give her more attention. She assumes he doesn't understand the language, but to her surprise, Masachika does, and he gets flustered hearing her say such embarrassing things. Meanwhile, Elisa is feeling proud, thinking that she's making a bold move at him, while he has no idea about it. Little does she know, she is making a fool of herself. After some time, they all complete the work. The girls then say thanks to Masachika for the help. Suddenly, Kenzaki comes there and introduces himself to Masachika. It appears he is the student council president. Kenzaki then tells Masachika that he heard how talented he is. Meanwhile, Masachika notices the boy has a strong personality. Masachika then says goodbye to them and turns to leave. However, Kenzaki stops him and tells him that he feels bad for leaving him empty-handed after all the help he did. Hence, he tells the boy that he will buy him dinner. But Masachika says no to him. Thus, Yuki urges him to accept the dinner. At this, Kenzaki invites both girls to join them too. After some time, they are at the restaurant. There, Yuki is praising Masachika for all the work he did. Surprisingly, Kinzaki offers Masachika to join the student council. At this, the boy shakes his head and tells Kinzaki that he is done with the student council work since he did that in middle school. Yuki also urges him to join them so that they can work together. Masachika still doesn't want to join. Surprisingly, Kinzaki informs the boy that Elisa and Yuki will be against each other next year for the president position. After some time, they leave the restaurant. Kinzaki and Yuki head home together. Meanwhile, Masachika and Elisa are going together. While walking, Masachika asks Elisa if she is really going to run for the student council president position. At this, the girl says yes to him. After a while, they both went home. Masachika goes inside his home and finds Yuki lying on his sofa. She then informs him that she is staying at his house tonight. After that, she is teasing him for walking home with Elisa. Surprisingly, Yuki is Masachika's little sister, but no one knows about this at school. The next morning, Yuki wakes up Masachika and tells him that they have a date today. After a while, they watch the movie, then they go to the mall. There, they both are shopping when suddenly they notice that Elisa is watching them secretly. Hence, Yuki approaches her and catches her off guard. Thus, Elisa gets embarrassed and fumbles to maintain her composure. Yuki then asks Elisa what she is doing there. Hence, the girl informs her that she came there for clothes shopping. After that, Yuki asks her if she had lunch. At this, Elisa says no. Yuki sees her chance to set her brother with Elisa. Hence, she tells the girl to come with her for lunch. However, Masachika interrupts her mid-sentence and asks her if she is thinking of taking Elisa to that restaurant. Yuki sweetly asks him if he has any problem with it. At this, the boy angrily tells her to go somewhere else if they are taking Elisa. All this time, Elisa is watching them confusingly. She then asks the boy what's the problem. Funnily, Masachika shuts up at this and keeps a grumpy look on his face. Meanwhile, Yuki asks Elisa if she dislikes spicy food. The girl thinks about it and says she doesn't have any problem with it. Thus, Yuki informs her that they are about to go to a restaurant that serves spicy ramen, but if she doesn't dislike spicy food, then she can join them. Masachika tells his sister to stop playing safely. Hence, he informs Elisa that it's just not spicy. That place serves super spicy ramen. Without wasting a minute, Elisa tells them that she will go with them. However, the boy is still not convinced. Hence, he tells her that if she doesn't want to come, then she doesn't have to force herself. At this, Elisa becomes angry and asks him if he has any problem with her presence. Masachika hurriedly clears that it's not like that. After a while, they are standing outside the restaurant called Hell's Cauldron. Funnily, Elisa is looking scared seeing the restaurant. They then go inside the restaurant and take their seats. Elisa reads the menu, but she can't understand the dishes. Hence, Yuki helps her by telling her about the dishes. Elisa then asks her what the infinite hell dish is. Thus, Yuki informs her that it's a very spicy dish that numbs her entire mouth completely because of the spice. Masachika suggests she order Pool of Blood Hell since it's safe to not go adventurous on her first order at a restaurant. Hence, all three order this dish. After a while, Elisa tells Yuki that she is dressed quite boyish today. Yuki laughs at this and states that it's a day off, so she goes with this for a change in her private time. Elisa seems uncomfortable about their relationship. Seeing that, Yuki decides to tease her more. Hence, she tells her that she was in bed with Masachika this morning. Funnily, the boy chokes on the water. Meanwhile, Elisa's expression gets dark. Yuki ignores their reaction and continues to tell her that she wants to wear something different today. That's why she wears Masachika's shirt. At this, Elisa looks at the boy and asks him what's the meaning of this. Funnily, Masachika starts panicking and tries to clear the misunderstanding. Thus, he tells the girl that Yuki just showed up at his place, entered his room, and jumped in his bed all by herself. Boy, you are digging your own grave. As expected, Elisa doesn't buy this and continues to look at him accusingly. At that moment, the waiter serves their order and saves the boy from the girl's wrath. Funnily, Elisa starts sweating seeing the spicy dish. She then gathers her courage and takes the first bite. She starts sweating even more from the spice, but is determined to prove to the boy that she can handle it. Hence, she continues eating. However, Masachika tells her not to push herself to eat this, but she says to him that it's good. After that, she starts saying in Russian that she can't eat this. Yuki sees her struggling, and like a devil, she tells her to put a more spicy sauce in the ramen. To look tough, Halika puts the sauce on and takes a bite. Funnily, she lets out a scream after that. They are now waiting outside the restaurant for Yuki, who has gone to do some shopping. The boy buys ice cream for both of them. He then asks Alice why she wants to be student council president. At this, the girl gets offended and replies that she wants to aim higher. After this, the boy tells her that she has to run as a pair in the council, hence she needs someone. Thus, the girl states that she will find some random person to be a vice president to support her. Suddenly, she tells him in Russian to join her. Hearing this, the boy gets a flashback of a girl crying. After that, Elisa tells him to go shopping with her. Hence, he agrees to go since she doesn't have any friends. At the store, she picks up some clothes and goes to the changing room. She gets angry thinking that the boy is pitying her, that's why he is being nice to her. Hence, she plans to blow his mind with her fashion sense. Thus, she changes some clothes and shows them to the boy. Every time, Masachika gives her compliments on the dresses. Funnily, she wears a revealing dress to show him. Hence, she opens the door and gets embarrassed to see Yuki there too. She then mutters in Russian that she wants to disappear. After a while, Yuki and Masachika get off at the same station to go home. Meanwhile, Elisa is still embarrassed about the earlier encounter. She then comes out of her embarrassment and realizes that Yuki and Masachika went out together. Funnily, she looks disturbed by the prospect of them being together. Alia steps into her home, and as soon as Masha sees her, she runs to her and locks her in a hug, which gives Alia a good feeling. Then Masha tells her to call her Wani-chan in Japan. After they go inside the room, Alia seems down to Masha, so she asks her what is up with her. Alia says it is nothing, but Masha nags her to tell. Alia turns and looks at her and tells her that she just met Kuze and his childhood friend. As Masha hears that, she says that Alia gets worked up when it comes to him. Well, Alia knows she is not wrong, and Masha asks if she likes Kuza. But Alia says that there is no such stuff going on and they are just friends. That is how most of the heartbreaks happen, leading men to join gyms and girls ending up with a black baby. Masha then asks how they became friends because she knows that she hates indifferent slackers. Well, 6 years ago, when Alia was in school, she got a group project and she aimed to win in it. Her part was to look into local businesses, so little Alia goes to different shops and gets to know about them. The next day, she shows it to her group, and they all sound very unserious about the whole thing, which makes Alia very mad and ends up being in a fight with them. Later, the teacher announces that there was some other group who got the best project. That makes Alia very sad, and she walks home gloomy and tries to come up with some explanation. But everything comes down to one point, and she thinks no one is as driven as she is. She promises herself that she would do anything for herself. After a while, Alia clears one of the toughest transfer exams, and the students are totally fangirling over her. Later, when the class starts, she notices a guy who slept all through the class. Alia wakes him up, and the guy yawns and asks if she is the transfer student who gave the speech. She says yes and introduces herself. The guy says that his name is Kuza, but Alia notices that he is one slacky student and he is not even good in PE. She thinks to herself that slackers are everywhere, even in such great schools. Then, as the spring passes, summer arrives and students are getting ready for a festival. She overhears a student who says that there is no need to be so worked up for just a festival. Alia feels like it is all coming back to her and ends up hurting herself with a needle. Suddenly, the gate opens and Kuze enters the classroom, and he says that he knew she would still be here. He tells her that she should go home now, but Alia wants to do some work. So Kuze tells her that the Handicrafts Club said that they would help them out with the costumes. Then he shows the permission to stay overnight at school, and it only took place because he could pull some strings. Further, he says that this is why he said that she should go home, because there is no point in working all by herself. As soon as she hears that, she stands up and gets angry and asks him what he means by that. All she wants is to make this a good attraction if she is going to be participating in it. Her eyes get teary and she says that she does not want to compromise on the quality. Of course, that is just her ego making her go crazy like that. In the end, Alia says that she is the only one worked up here for it because she is interested. Then Kuze says that she is putting in efforts in the wrong things because things like festivals are supposed to bring them all together and not something to be seen as a race. She realizes that he is not wrong about it. Kuze says that it really would piss her off even more and says sorry. But he says further that he is seeing what she is doing and he appreciates that. Alia picks up her bag and says that she is going to leave now and walks out of the room. As she walks down the hallway, she wonders what is the thing with him. Later, the students start to work on the festival all together and they all seem excited and motivated. Along with them, Alia joins in too, and she is enjoying the whole thing too. The festival is then held in the school, and everyone enjoys it quite a bit. An after-party is held, and it looks very soothing. Alia looks at the students and walks by Kuza. Then she asks if she can sit with him, and he asks if she won't folk dance with the rest of them. That makes him ask if she doesn't know how to dance. She says that she knows how to do it, but she does not want to. He tells her that people call her the Ice Princess, and she surely does not sound pleased about it. Well, of course, no one wants to be called a loner in other words, but she is more mad about the princess part because it makes it sound like she is a silver spoon snob. She does know that she looks pretty and has talent too, but never once has she been coasted on that alone. It annoys her that all her efforts get ignored in favor of her birth. Kuze says that it makes sense, and he will not call her that again. She thanks him, and he asks for what. Alia explains that he was right all along and she was wrong, because if she tried to do it all alone, she might not have been able to see the festival this way. Then she says sorry for lashing out on him the other day. But he tells her to not think about it that much. But well, she says that she wants to repay him and does not want to hear no for an answer. He can take her to an empty classroom and then, well, let's just leave it at that. He says that there isn't a Russian custom where people call each other by special nicknames. She says that her family calls her Alia, to which Kuza asks if he can call her Alia. She asks what is in it for him, to which he says that she is the glory of their class, and everyone would think that she is closer to him than anyone else. Alia wonders if he is right in the head, but he is just happy for this gift she gave him. Then some boys come behind her and ask if she would dance with them. They begin to fight over who would take Alia for a dance, and she says no to all of them, but they are eager. Kuze sees her being weirded out by them and takes her hand, saying that she is already taken for the dance, and she walks with him. She thinks that her heart will explode. Kuze brings her to the ground and says that she said she used to practice ballet, so she can pick up folk dance easily, so now he wants to see what she got. The next day, Kuze sleeps in the class and Alia looks at him with anger, to which he says that she is looking at him like he is human garbage. Alia calls him a waste of space, and here's when the story ends. Coming back to the present, Masha is so pleased to hear that story and thinks that this is a beautiful beginning of a love story. Alia says that there is nothing like that. Masha giggles and says that friends to lovers is a classic progression. She opens her locket and says that Sa and her were the same too, friends at first. But Alia shuts her up by saying that she should brag about her love life somewhere else. The next day, Kuze walks into the students' council office to cover up for Yuki. There, Masha sees him, and she says that she is Alia's big sister and student council secretary. Then Kuze tells her his full name, and she gets a bit startled. But she covers up by saying that she was just happy to meet Alia's friend. After that, they leave the office and go to get some stuff for the office. Masha comes up with the thought that they should get a plushie that looks like each student council officer. Kuze says that the girls might like the idea, but it will make Prez uncomfortable as heck. Later, as they walk, he wonders if she has always been so eccentric. After that, she makes him hold the plushie to try a cup of red tea. He gets a flashback of his parents getting separated and clearly looks sad. Masha walks up to him and hugs and pats his back. He feels very familiar and calms down very much as he is locked in the head pat. Suddenly, he felt something hot on his back, and it was the red tea that was touching his back. Now Masha panics and drops the tea, and well, someone's got a burn butt now for sure. Maria and Kuze get back, and Toya sees a plushie in Maria's arms, and he finds it very cute. He asks if she plans to put it here, and she asks in a cute way if she can. Well, no one would say no to a cute anime girl, but well, he acts like a nerd and he says no. Kuza puts down the things they got, and Toya says thanks to Kuza. If Maria would have gone alone, he does not know what could have happened. The taste of sweet misogyny in anime is rare to see. I mean, Maria would have turned the student council office into a plush room, to be honest. Then Toya asks Kuza if he wants to join, but Toya says no and asks why does Toya want him to join so badly. But Toya says that it is sus why Kuza would not want to join student council. Kuza tells him that he is not cut for it. To make him say yes, Toya says that he became the president to get the girl he likes. Then he pulls out his phone and shows Kuza how he used to look like before he joined the student council. Well, it looks like he joined the gym the way he lost his weight. Gym bros would have been happy seeing this. Kuza can't believe what he saw. Toya says that he was not before what he is today, and he was bad at almost everything he did. But he fell in love with one of the two beauties in the student council, Chizaki, the current vice president of the student council. He changed himself for her, which most men think they can't do. Further, he says that Maria also joined the student council because Shisaki asked her, and she says it has been going good for her too. They both motivate Kuze to join, and they tell him no one will pressure or criticize him. Kuze says he will think about it and then tell them. Then Kuze asks where Alia is, to which Toya tells him that she went to settle a matter among some clubs. Usually Chisaki takes care of such clubs, but she has been a bit busy, so Alia takes care of it for them to settle the dispute, since she is also a major part of the student council. Then Kuze takes his lead and checks if there is a fight going on between the two clubs who want the space to practice. Meanwhile, in the locker room, Alia stands and tries to solve the fight among the teams. She tells them to use the nearby riverbank as an alternative field for now. The two teams bicker while the captains are quiet. Being unable to handle the entire thing going on, Alia gets sad and wonders what she is doing wrong and how she can handle it. She begins to think about everything very much, and that makes her cry, and she speaks, "Help me." Well, God works in weird ways because right away Kuze shows up, who says he is from the student council and he is the general affairs officer. Before he entered the room, he heard what was going on and how Alia was unable to handle the entire thing. And he also heard that Alia said, "Help me." Now Kuze enters and presents them with a solution which is pretty simple, and the managers agree with it too. Then Kuze tells them to show up in the office to fill out the application form, while Alia looks at him with big puppy dog eyes. After that, they both are going back to the office. Kuze turns to Alia and says that he is very sorry that he interrupted her and she should have been the one to solve it, so now maybe he has embarrassed her in front of the students and her task that she had to complete. But Alia tells him that this is not really the case and asks why did he propose that plan, because logically speaking, the baseball club would have never accepted this. It just seemed like that the manager would say yes, and he knew about it. Kuze says that it is very impressive that she noticed that, and Alia said that it was pretty obvious the way he was staring at the senior at that time. Then Kuze says that the senior is actually dating the captain of the baseball club, and that is what Alia did not know. Kuze says more that the captain was silent the entire time because he was worried about his girlfriend and he can't mix business and pleasure. Meanwhile, the girlfriend knew that the soccer club was being unreasonable. This is why Kuze knew if he gave out that plan, she would definitely agree with it. Other than that, the baseball club would feel happy with cute girls around them while they play, and the soccer club would get the field too. It always comes down to women and land after all. Then they begin to walk again, and Kuze says that this way lovebirds get united too, and it is a win-win situation for both of the clubs, and the problem is solved too. After that, they meet the president, Toya, and he asks if the negotiation went well, and Alia says it did, all thanks to Kuze for giving out a great plan to both of the clubs, which resolved the fight. Toya is happy with Alia, and Kuze realizes that he got trapped by Toya into joining the student council. Toya agrees with it and says he did catch him and asks if he has made up his mind about it. Kuze says he did and he would like to become a member of the student council, and Toya says he looks forward to working with him with clear joy on his face. Later in the evening, Alia and Kuze walk outside the campus where Kuze says that he fell right in the trap of Toya. But Alia does not pay attention to it much, and she asks if he really will join the student council, and Kuze says yes to her. She asks further he can join the student council president election with Suu. But Kuze asks what if he says yes. Will she give up on running for president or not? She says no, and she will become the president, even if Kuze is her opponent, and she won't care whoever comes in her way. But Kuze tells her that if that is the case, he will help her become the president if she wants to. He will do his best to help her get elected as the president. He can't let her be alone, and he will always be by her side. Kuze gives out his hand to her and tells her to hold it as if he proposed to her, because he will stay by her side, and she gets tears in her eyes as she holds his hand. She says thanks to him and tells him that she likes him, and he can't believe his luck, and his eyes are wide open like Yo Mama's legs. He is glad that he still feels emotions, and she tightly holds his hand and asks if he is thinking about another woman, and he gets nervous and says that he was. Then he realizes he screwed up because no sane person would have said that in this situation. But Alia asks if he was thinking about Sue a little while ago, and he says no, he was thinking about Yuki, and she holds his hand so tight that it begins to hurt. At least he knows she got some grip, which can be a good thing in the bed. Then Alia slaps him and says that if he wants her to forgive him, he just has to accept this slap, and I am pretty sure it was very hard. He falls down, yet he says that was a nice slap. Boy really showed what he really wants in his woman in just 2 words. Then Alia gives out her hand to him and says that they should go home now and get up with her. As they walk home, he says that this is the first time he got slapped by a girl and his experience is growing as a man now. Then Alia asks him if he hit his head when he fell down, but he tells her that there is nothing wrong with his brain going on if that is what she is thinking about. Well, she comes with another greater comeback and says that he needs to have a brain to begin with. After a while, they reach home. They stand under Alia's building before she goes inside. She asks how his cheek is and if he needs a cold compress, but he says he is fine and she does not need to worry, even though his left cheek still feels numb from the slap he just got from Alia. Then she gives him a cheek kiss and he totally spaces out. Yeah, that man is a virgin and it shows. She asks why he spaced out because it was just a cheek kiss and nothing more than that. With that said, she goes inside the building to her room while he stands with his cheek in his hand, and he screams that he needs to know which cheek was it, and the answer must be in Russian. So basically, Alia recalls the bombastic events of tonight as she dropped confession bombs at Masachika. This chick can't believe going this far to love a goofball like him. Other than that, she bets she has much more important things at hand, like being a student council president. Remembering him muttering how he would be there for her, she thinks about asking him out but quickly kicks that thought away. Just then, Masha comes home with a kitty doll and names her Alia Nyan, who throws curveballs at Alia. Suddenly, Masha speaks about how she doesn't blame her for falling for that sweet lad. But she advises her cute sister to claim that dude before someone swoops in and steals him from under her nose. This leaves Alia rather baffled and annoyed by her adorable sister. Masachuka marches through the noisy wind, groaning about that annoying chick and his lame promises of being there for him. Dropping the I love you, Alia has left this guy totally clueless and in denial, wondering if that girl was even serious. Looks like our dude became the victim of this Russian chick's flirting skills, though the girl was coming hard in her own way. But hey, our lad still cannot bet his money if that could be the real thing. However, he believes that this confession bomb popped out of her heart tonight. Storming down the road, the air hangs heavy when he remembers his mom's bickering about his father not giving enough attention. And speaking of messes, this reminds him how much love is flimsy and might rack his cracked brain a little too much. Not to mention, he calls himself the biggest one for ditching Yuki to take on the Sue family mess all by herself. At home, he was expecting a lecture from Yuki about joining the student council until his world turned upside down. This moron barges in on Yuki, soaking herself naked. Talk about a sudden surprise. While Yuki screams the pervy alert, Masachika accuses this cutie of setting this all up, though this smarty pants knows his sister's blackmailing tricks to fall for such a thing. But hey, our hottie girl Yuki is not done with this ugly rut. Thus, he stops her brother, asking if he is even interested in knowing her wicked plan to set this thing up. Getting on with that, she rambles on with her theory of living with this guy for years, but never having talked over the walking in on her changing cutscene. Masachika, bugged out by this dumb chick, asks her to bury that otaku brain. With her camera-bending pose, this dude is next level annoyed by this dumbass's butt hanging out. Just then, Yuki clears this tribute for making it up to him for playing him for a fool today. Muttering about crushing this tribute, Yuki accuses this moron of checking her out. However, Masachika tries dropping a truth bomb, explaining how show-offs are a turn-off. But Yuki, ever the pragmatic, makes this goof admit to inspecting her melons finally.
長いこと一つ屋根の下で過ごしておいて着替え遭遇イベントをしていなかったことにねというわけでサービスだいや
Fourth wall break inside a fourth wall break. That's like 16 walls.
Blow-drying her hair, Yuki demands to know why Prez and Masha got through to this moron to join the student council. Just then, the lad drops the massive bombshell decision of pushing Alia to become student council president. A deafening silence followed the shocking surprise of Yuki screaming about how Alia had cucked her brother. Thus, she declares this dumbass to be a balloon buffoon drooling over Alia's E-cups rather than her C-cups. And the room just turns upside down and the temperature goes crazy. Yuki asks if his brother is the lucky winner to give her the first melon grab. Though she does remember this moron taking that in elementary school, Masachika doesn't recall that happening. All of a sudden, Yuki's cheeky self drops low, reminding him about the second-grade game of tag crashing incident. Sulking down, she mumbles about how Masachika ended up getting his handful with her right balloon that day. Flipping his lid, this moron is whacked out by Yuki, fabricating the most pervy moments. At each other's throats, Yuki orders Masachika that he must spoil her by handing the guy a hairbrush. Knowing he is running with Alia, Yuki is pretty excited about the turn of events, while Masachika assures this little girl that he loves her to death. Hence, she lays out that from this moment on, she is his rival who can let some cheating episodes slide, frankly. Later on, Yuki is over the moon to learn that this dude has a new motivator in the field, but she refuses to lose. The next day, Masachika finds it odd to not have his head crashing down under Yuki's usual morning regime. Just when he steps down, Yuki's foot grab scares the crap out of him. She gives out her villainous laugh to assure him that things aren't going to end all sappy-like anyway, so he better suck it up. Just then, this dimwit forgets her way out, ordering this moron to pull her out from underneath the bed. But hey, this is Masachika's golden chance as he shoves his sheets down her throat, finally ready to bury her nasty soul. And these two are at each other's throats again. At school, with all the buzzing, Alia looks like she's on pins and needles for Masachika's arrival. Jolting her brain, she tells herself to cool it down, as that sleepyhead might turn up any minute now. Just then, the lad spooks her with a good morning wish as she pretends not to give a hoot. However, his fresh and charming face, asking if she preps herself for class, stuns her to the greatest degree. Moving on, she hears Masachika's friends planning out a karaoke evening. Though this chick is damn sure this guy is off his game or totally out of his usual character, which is kind of hot. Even later, Alia can't help but wonder if this guy is sincere in leveling up for her. Suddenly, her name was called, and she successfully landed a nice throw, winning this round of volleyball. She watches Masachika get hit by the volleyball like a goofy mess. Later on, Alia goes on to check on this guy to see if his bones are intact. Turns out that this starving moron is a little bugged out by the crazy heat in the gym. Suddenly, Alia lurches to his side to see if he got a hothead, but our dude got the finest peek at the goodies down there. In this way, Masachika is damn sure she got better than E-cups. Just then, Alia decides to tighten her ponytail, getting out a nice peek of her pits. This definitely does a number on his poor soul. With his internal monologue ringing about the beauty of sneak peeks, Alia stands up, ordering this guy to have some water. Even then, the guy's sneak peek alerts have short-circuited his brain as he cools his head while freaking Alia out. Suddenly, Masha turns up as Masachika assures the lady of cooling his head, while Alia watches these two dumbheads get their heads in the clouds. So basically, this dude now knows the true worth of gym uniforms in gold. Out of the blue, Masha pulls this moron's head in the towel, giving off a juicy sneak peek that turns his day even brighter. But our girl, Alia, is fretting over it and pulls Masachika aside to head to class right away. Later on, unexpectedly, Masachika is whacked out to hear Alia's concern about his head after the ball hit. Thus, this dude rest assured her mind that there is no such thing as a lump or anything. With a nervous chuckle, he racks his brain to see if this chick is leveled up to her lovey-dovey stage. So he drops the bomb casually, asking if she is being a little too nice with him. But this chick mutters how his unusual self is the one raising alarms. Trying to clear things up, his stomach gave out as he mumbled about missing his breakfast. Taking her off, she is close to blowing a fuse after knowing this guy had a good night's sleep. Especially when she couldn't hit the bed after the past night's tragic events. Flying off the handle, her clenched fist and daggering eyes cannot hide how this lad's cheesy lord sayings did a number on her. However, Masachika knows he rubbed her the wrong way after she throws a scornful look on his good-for-nothing face. So she makes her hasty exit, cursing herself for falling in love with this goofball. Afterward, Masachika invites Alia to head together to the student council office. These two bump into soccer and baseball teams running past them, rushing out of the office. A second later, they got to know what monster was lurking there. Moving on, the bossy Sarashina apologizes for the commotion and gets down to business. Though Masachika, ever the righteous, points at her bamboo sword move, it is a little too much for such a thing. Toya sides with the shorty to lay out a threat of violence to make those dimwits behave on the line. A sudden shower of tiny slaps over his shoulders shakes Toya, while Masachika thinks of it as an adorable sight. Suddenly, Masha enters to set up the office decorum as Shorty, with a quick apology to Toya, mumbles about not handling her power. But Toya, ever the handsome prick, pledges the lady to build his body just to handle that power. Alia catches Masachika's jaw hanging while watching their romantic soap opera, so he throws in a terrible joke about Bossy Sash about Sarashina Senpai that cracks up Alia. With Yuki's entry, Toya brings it on as Masachika pledges to handle general affairs and the presidential election with Alia. Thus, this dude looks forward to working with them all. Back at the student council meeting, our otaku boy, Masachika, lays out his introduction as the biggest nerd on the table. Toya bets Masachika's vice presidential experience in elementary school might come in handy here. Just then, Yuki interrupts, trying to excuse herself from this busy table to run errands in the art club for the upcoming exhibition. But hey, even Masachika can sniff off something fishy from here when Yuki tries pushing Elia in this art thingy. Later, Elia and Yuki are rushing to the art club. Out of the blue, Elia mutters that she might have something to discuss with her. For that, they hit up an empty classroom for a little chit-chat. That's when Elia declares to Yuki to stand with Kuza to be the council president. So she blurts out that she has nothing to be sorry about and wants to give this news highlight in person. However, Yuki assures this Russian chick that she has nothing to worry about as Masachika picks this quest for himself. Not to mention, she mumbles about not being his first choice, which kind of surprised her. So Alia mustered up the courage to ask Yuki if she had the heart for this average dude. But before she could even complete the words while stuttering like a 4-year-old, Yuki confesses to loving this otaku boy. In no way, this gorgeous beauty can go this far to admit to loving that ugly moron more than her own parents. This catches our girl, Alia, in shock, with her jaw dangling on the floor as she did not expect her to fall this much. What stuns her is Yuki being a little too interested in knowing if Alia loves him as well. However, Alia stammers that Masachika is just a friend. That's not enough to satisfy Yuki. Thus, this girl demands Alia spit out all her secrets if she has a thing for that loser. Pinning her to the door, Yuki's daggered eyes pierce Alia's soul enough to spill out the truth as she refuses to let her have him. With a mischievous chuckle, Yuki admires Alia's true confession. Afterwards, these two silly billies decide their naming terms and head on to the art club together. Next, our otaku is helping Masha with sorting out the documents. Even Masachika can't help but notice Masha as the well-oiled machine working like an ultra pro. On the other hand, the lad notices Chisaki, the short-haired silly billy, being clumsy as ever. Not to mention, Toya can't keep his arse at bay from Chisaki. Looks like this nerdy dude likes having 1 or 2 episodes of teasing Chisaki to score better sleep at night. Henceforth, this dude informs Chisaki to head over to the library as they require a chick to help them restock. And there she goes, like a firecracker flashing through. Once gone, Toya mutters that this ditzy girl happens to be a strong force in committee discussions. With a nervous chuckle, he agrees that everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses. Just then, Masha intervenes, suggesting those two morons for a little break of tea. Listing all the snacking options, Masha, a waifu material, hops on to make some tea for the lads. With the inside joke, Masha continues to brew while Masachika asks if she is making black tea, the winter drink of Russia. It turns out that Masha's mom is such a huge tea lover and just can't keep herself from the basic seasonal stuff. So tea is an everyday thing in the Kujo house. Upon asking, this moron explains how he binge-watched Russian movies in his childhood with his grandfather. But hey, this dude leaves the best part out, about how his cringe arse binged all the way to learn the Russian language just to chit-chat with a Russian girl. Childhood crush alert. Masha's delicious tea triggers a harsh memory, where Masachika remembers his mother being a huge tea aficionado herself. Suddenly, Yuki and Alia make their way in with the usual greeting. However, Alia, our cutie, looks to be in a scruffy grumpy mood as she sits real close to Masachika, who happens to like his personal space. Just then, Alia mumbles about Russian ethics for ladies as bad luck to sit at the corner of the table. Thus his eyes go to Yuki, who is giving off a pretty mischievous grin. That's where Masachika figures that something must have gone down between these girls. Upon confirmation, Masha confirms as a credible source of Russian ethics of unmarried lads ending up alone if they sit in corners. Masha asks her if she has someone in mind, but Alia mumbles in Russian that marriage isn't on the cards yet. Going home, Masachika wonders how far Yuki has gone to blow Alia's fuse. At Royal Fast, he invites Alia to discuss the presidential election, but she bets in Russian if it isn't a date, which stuns this moron. Next, the lad is as mind-blowing as ever about Alia's choices for food. Getting straight to business, Alia asks if Masachika has something going with Yuki. But this dude rejects that though with a full-on hell nah. So he spills the beans as to how this wannabe prime and proper lady just wants to mess with Alia. Laying out the election stats, he gives out an overview of how these two dimwits have 0 to no chance of beating frontrunner Yuki yet. That's where he explains the fuss around half of the student congress. 6 pairs of debaters dropped out even before the election. This brings out this to be a battle to win their presidential ground, excluding the losers. Given the present statistical drought, he bet Yuki might have knocked out all the competition as a frontrunner. While Yuki yaps about brewing a strategic plan, Alia wonders if this ugly moron knows he is out with a girl. At midway, Alia wondered when her cranky butt chewed her straw. Hitting an end to his lecture, he notices Alia gulping down the ice cream parfait like a wild, hungry beast. Seeing no way with this boring shrimp, Alia devised a direct strategy, asking if he would like a bite. So she gives off a bite from her own spoon, pushing him to lower the staff's washing load. Even so, she mutters that it's Russian ethics, but Masachika, ever the smarty pants, figures this puffy cheeks is lying this time for sure. Shivering, this moron ends up having a forced indirect kiss, screaming like a hyena in his mind. The whole ice cream parlor got their eyes bulging out in shock to see such a sight. Just then, he sees Taniyama heading down this path. Suddenly, Alia asks for his plan, as Masachika explains running an appealing campaign to win the students' hearts. Stating Toya's example, that nerd won from a middle school president with an elaborate strategy and a nice backstory. Looking over at the spoon, these two morons watch the ice cream melt without making the first move. There, Masachika tries ordering some food to melt this crazy tension at the table. Thus, Alia teases him for being a bigger baby who just cannot handle eating with a girl. But hey, our guy can't let this one slide as he asks her if Russia rides with indirect kisses or something. There, Alia throws a hissy fit in Russian, mentioning how she only does it with him. Moving on, he states that Alia needs to bring out a rapport that shows the students how hardworking she can be. Thus, he points out that their first golden chance is the closing ceremony as the first speech to the student body. Thus, he gets his hopes high as he finds Alia to be a highly captivating chick who's going to ace it. Flushing her cheeks, she mutters in Russian of wanting to be praised more often. Afterward, Masachika suggests she have a bite but quickly realizes this chick has no game with spicy food. Too late, Alia thinks that backing out is no option, so she requests him for a bite. A devil over Masachika's head pops up as Mayuki laughs her ass off, thinking how Alia's teary eyes are such a turn-on. With one bite, Alia jumps off suddenly as if the lightning has struck her mouth, calling him a total jerk. Later on, Alia asks if Yuki has a new partner. However, this doesn't concern Masachika, as that girl is pretty popular for whipping out the best of the masses. However, he is concerned about Yuki picking out the likes of Taniyama, which might bring chaos to them. There he mentions that Taniyama took Yuki in middle school, and they won the election like an ace. However, he wonders if that girl dropped her wish to ever become president. The next day, Yuki slashes her big secret. The new recruit, Kimishima Ayano from Class 1C, joining from now on to handle general affairs. The following day, Kuze is strolling through his academy's hallway, probably heading to this class. All of a sudden, he catches a faint whisper of a girl calling him out. Surely this one creeps him the heck out. It turns out that Ayano's gothic imitation style does a number on him. With a quick apology, she wishes to borrow his precious time. Continuing to follow her, the lad recalls her being the same as before, like a ninja in the shadows. Later on, Ayano spills that she is aware of his stance to run elections with Alia Kuju. She mentions that the head of the family looks pretty unpleased to hear the Suo family's black sheep getting in Yuki's way. Kuze curses his old geezer, spilling how his old-timer discarded him from the Suo family's name after he left that house. Not to mention, he made him swear not to tell anyone that he was Yuki's older brother. Just out of nowhere, the old geezer decides to treat him like family again. At her will, Ayano, Yuki's retainer, has come to know his true intention herself. Asking Yuki's loyal puppy to feel rest assured, he tells her that he simply has zero intention of opposing Yuki. But this chick raises a tough enough question, asking if running with Kuju is important enough to hurt Yuki. His yes stuns Ayano as he lays out that he plans to make Alia the president in his wake. This interests Ayano, forcing her to ask if Kuze has developed feelings for Alia. Kuze rejects her theories, spitting out his free desire to take this action. Moving on, Kuze demands Ayano tell the geezer not to blame Yuki for anything, instead talking it out with him, man to man, directly. However, Ayano wishes to know one thing, asking if his feelings for Yuki remain unchanged. The lad blurts out that Yuki is still the most important person to him in this world. Thus, this moron asks her to support her with a full heart. This meeting looks to have satisfied Ayano, but Kuze has his doubts. Back in the class, Baldi, like a drooling puppy dog, shows off this week's Gravure magazine cover full of ladies in undies. But Kuze, ever the old-fashioned prick, couldn't care less about the idols. Then Baldi curses him to quit acting like an old buffoon. After giving them a look, Kuze picks up a side idol. His other friend broke his code to pick out someone resembling Masha. These dimwits tease Kuze of having a thing for her. Kuze assures these dimwits of not seeing Masha that way at all. Suddenly, Kuze feels a chill running down his spine as Alia calls him a beast in Russian. To his shock, she declares the student council member to possess such a nasty thing. Kuze spills his guts to tell her that Baldi has brought it. This lets him off the hook. Baldi, with a nervous chuckle, asks Kuze if he has ever thought about dating Sue. Feeling the ick, Kuze tells them that it is truly an impossible task. Just then, Kuze feels the aura of evil brushing against him as Alia calls him a beast. She tells Kuze that he is a member of the student council. Pushing that aside, he expresses his desire to be friends before anything else. Alia mutters in Russian, asking if someone like her fits the criteria. Kuze, sitting before his friend, blushes like a ripe tomato. A wave of nostalgia hits him as he thinks of his Russian blonde friend smiling in the sunset. This reminds him that he would like girls with cute smiles for sure. At the side, Alia is being hit by the cold, raging storm. Even his friends agree that girls who don't smile creep others out too. With Alia's face bearing the cold snow, Kuze pulls his friends away, telling them not to hurt Alia's feelings. While Alia mumbles in Russian, Kuze explains the blockheads to make it up real quick. Baldi takes the bullet, declaring Alia to be the beauty who gives no damn about such a thing. That just made it worse, as Alia confronts Kuze for thinking about her as a cold girl with looks to offer. Thus, she storms out with the magazine. Later on, Yuki demands Ayana's report as she delivers the news of Kuze not stepping down from elections with Alia. Yuki gets a clear view of how serious his brother is. Aside from that, she is baffled to know that Ayano's uterus is trembling for him. Upon asking, she refuses to have any romantic feelings for Kuze-sama. Ayano assures Yuki of being a good enough tool, as Yuki sees her as an ordinary supermaid. Moreover, Ayana mentions that Kuze still finds her the most important out of all. This almost pushes Yuki to declare her love for his brother on the school premises. Ayana thinks Yuki's chances are higher than those of the transfer student Alia, which is what student rumors say. But Yuki is excited about facing her genius brother in these dire circumstances. After how she hasn't defeated her brother in anything, this is her time to shine. Hence, she decides to give those two real hell, proving to be the final boss in the game. At the student council office, Yuki is playing cards with Alia beside Masha and Ayana at their snack time. Sarashina finds Alia's face too easy to read, while Kuze thinks mind games are Yuki's forte. The lot finds Masha to be harder to read, but even with a loose screw, she comes off a bit strange sometimes. After Ayano fills their drinks, she tells the tale of how she joined the Sue family in the 2nd grade under her perfect master, Yuki. Out of pure admiration for her grandparents' work, she decides to do the same. This chick almost spills out about Kuze, but the lad scolds him later. Masha joins the lot after being scolded by Alia for annoying the heck out of her. Toya finds the two facing off against each other all alone, but Masha and Kuze ask him to chill out because Alia looks to be having fun. But her face tells a different tale. When Ayana excuses herself to buy some more juice, Masha and Kuze tell her that she is the heroine for today. Then Masha pulls Kuze out to fetch some juice instead. After taking the orders, these two stroll in the hallway. Masha thanks him for siding with Alia in the elections. This cutie is darn sure that Alia's happiness knows no bounds. Masha admires his spine for being willing to support her this far. Moving on, Kuze musters up the courage to ask if Masha hides her serious side from Alia on purpose. Thus, she shares how Alia has been a serious child to scores her best in everything. Her love for Alia makes her not want to compete with her. Facing off the window, she dwells in nostalgia, remembering the time she ran into Alia snoring off the table. Turns out that her pretty young sister dozed off studying like a maniac, so Masha pours the warm sheets over her with her warm body against her back. Kuze figures that Masha is putting on an act to come off as a sweet older sister. With a chuckle, Masha declines to fake it, but living in fear just tires her mind all the time. Although she does try being all sweet and honey before Alia. Getting out all the drinks, she spills her secrets that she does not wish to see Alia all alone. No doubt, Masha admits that siblings' rivalry or their bonds are a little too complicated. Even then, they cannot help but care for each other. Kuze feels the same way about Yuki, who screams out her love for her brother the most. Realization hits him hard, and Kuze finds Yuki's eccentric role with a strong otaku vibe a bit fishy now. He wonders if she is playing the silly sister role. Masha tells the lad to keep this chit-chat super secret. Upon asking, he explains about not hiding his serious side but just trying to live an easy life. Suddenly, Masha caresses Kuze's head, sharing how he is doing his best. He wonders why he lets his guard down before this girl. The next day, drama alert. Alia faces Taniyama from Class F, confirming Alia's run for the election. Taniyama asks if she is not feeling ashamed. After stealing Yuki's partner, she demands to know if Alia wishes to anger Sue. Kuze rushes into this catfight, and Alia fills him in. So this dude tells the other chick that Yuki is aware of everything. For offending Alia, Kuze demands a quick apology. Taniyama suddenly gets an inch closer to challenging Kuze for a general meeting. Turns out that this chick is on his trail to kick him out of the election and council. Besides Alia's up front, Taniyama tells the eye candy to step out of this. Alia declines to step aside from her partner's front, challenging herself to take on Taniyama, so it is decided that Taniyama plans to crush these two together. Toya asks if Kuze and Alia really want to go ahead with the debate with Sayaka. Kuze calls it an all-out attack. Alia, on the other hand, is furious. She says her presidential reputation will go up if she defeats Sayaka, and she also wants her to apologize for insulting her and Kuze. Toya agrees. Sue, who is sitting behind them, decides to work on the flyers. She wishes both of them good luck, and Alia says she'll do her best. Later that evening, while Kuze and Alia prepare for the debate, Alia asks him if he and Sayaka are on bad terms. He says no. She probably has a misunderstanding because she thinks Kuze is disrupting the elections. He says that he was originally Sue's partner, but because he joined forces with Alia, Sayaka thinks he's messing around. Alia grows guilty thinking all of this is happening because of her, but she just tells Kuze that she'll do her best tomorrow. The next day, at the general meeting, a blonde girl walks up to the two of them. She's Nonoa and greets Kuze, saying she'll be in his care today. Surprisingly, she looks quite nonchalant. She says she's going to be Sayaka's partner in the meeting. Kuze says she looks very easy, and Nonoa replies that she won't be competing directly anyway. Alia says to her that she hopes to have a good discussion with them. Nonoa just smiles and says that Alia is going to get along with Sayaka. With that, she walks off, and Kuze tells Alia that despite Nonoa and Sayaka's differing personalities, they are quite close childhood friends. Plus, Nonoa is an absolute threat in the election because she's got strong connections. However, for now, let's focus on the meeting and not the elections. Soon, the meeting begins, and the auditorium is crowded with the students debating on who will win. Alia stands on the stage feeling nervous. She wonders if she'll be rejected again and has some flashbacks. She can already hear people speaking in support of Sayaka. But she has to win for Kuze. Just then Kuze calls out to her with a very out-of-the-blue question. He asks if she's really an E-cup. Alia goes red and shields her melons from the epic cultural content in front of her. She calls him a pervert, but turns out Kuze just wanted her to snap out of her nervousness. He asks who is Alia's enemy. She says, "Isn't it Sayaka?" Kuze disagrees and says that it's her own ideal perfect self, so he wants her to be as cool as possible, and if anything goes wrong, he'll handle it. The meeting then starts, and Toya introduces the two parties, the proposers, Sayaka and Nonoa, and the opposers, Kuze and Alia. With that, Sayaka walks to the podium and immediately gets offensive. She says that student council executives are only selected by the president and vice president. However, recently, any student can now join the council due to favoritism. Because of this, even low-skilled students end up entering the council. And by low-skilled, she means dumb, low-scoring kids. She basically looking down on struggling kids from her golden pedestal. She uses quite strong words asking students if they hate such poor candidates who get power over them. Sayaka then proposes a teacher review to make sure that only the finest students become part of the council. Of course, why would teachers not want their pets to win? Sayaka asks the audience to cast votes in their favor. Kuze thinks how excellent she is. She has excellently prepared herself. The audience breaks into claps as she steps down. Toya then invites Alia, and she finally takes her place at the podium. She mentally makes a note to break a leg and starts by saying that she disagrees with Sayaka. If they were to appoint teachers to review, that would disrespect the core right of the vice president and president to select the executives. She argues that the president and president come to the seat through rigorous elections and that the student council holds strong values of student self-governance. If they are to seek help from teachers' reviews, they can no longer turn down teachers' preferences and would also need teachers to uphold their dignity. If they really need teachers to uphold them, then are they even capable of running the council at all? Alia manages to stir the crowd's opinions. They start debating, and Kuze feels confident. He looks at Sayaka and thinks that she must think these are all his words, but they are not. These are all Alia's own words. Once Alia finishes, Toya announces that it is now time for questions, and immediately Sayaka's arm goes up. She challenges Alia's proposal, saying she still thinks it's necessary to involve the supervision of teachers. Alia says that admitting they aren't good enough to select executives is sad. Kuze listens to all of this and thinks that Sayaka has greatly misjudged her opponent. However, she is not done. She confidently asks Alia what if the vice president and president go berserk, would they still choose the executives? This causes a stir in the crowd, and they start siding with Sayaka. With the pressure rising and Sayaka insisting on Alia to answer her question, Alia starts feeling dizzy. Just then Kuze shows up. He tells Alia to step back and that he'll take over. He taps the mic and jokes that his partner just lost her voice, so he'll be taking over. He then reminds the audience of their student council president, Kenzaki Toya. He says that Toya was a subpar student, a totally gloomy kid with no reputation among the teachers. However, he worked hard, improved his grades, and honed his masculinity. The students themselves chose him to be president and have confidence in him. He argues that Toya was elected because of the current system, which allows any student with passion to join the council. With that, he asks if the discussion has ended. Toya asks the proposing party if they have any more questions, but Sayaka ends up suddenly running off backstage. Alia follows her, and to Kuze's surprise, Nano announces surrender. With that, Sayaka's motion is rejected and the general meeting is concluded. Turns out Sayaka always looked at Kuze and Su as the ideal duo that she could never defeat. She was envious but eventually gave up on competing with them. However, when she saw Kuze and Alia, Sayaka felt betrayed. She runs across the school, but Alia finally grabs hold of her only to realize that she's crying. Sayaka angrily asks why it has to be Alia and Kuze. Alia asks her to let it all out, but Sayaka refuses. She says she admired herself, felt envious herself, and then felt betrayed herself as well. It's all made up in her head. Just then, Nano shows up and tells Alia that she'll handle Sayaka. Alia tells Sayaka that Kuze has chosen her, so she'll do her best and win Sayaka's approval one day as well. She then walks away, and Nano says to Sayaka that Alia is a good girl. With that, Nano tells Sayaka to apologize to Kuze when she's ready. She says she'll go with her as well. Back in the auditorium, Su comments that Kuze is too naive. If he wanted to, he could have ended this argument earlier. Ayana replies by saying she still finds Kuze and Alia quite extraordinary, making Shu break her character and throw a tantrum that she was trying to put on a macho opponent vibe. She sits down sweating in the light room. Ayano fans her and she tells her to clean up. In the empty auditorium, Alia tells Kuze that Sayaka admired him and Su, that's why she gave up on the elections, but she's determined to prove to Sayaka that she's worth it. She asks Kuze why he decided to run with her and not Su. He says that back he couldn't turn Su down. He was famous for being known as the vice president in the shadows, but that he never wanted to be out of the shadows. He wanted to help Shu achieve her goals, but more than that, he felt guilty about leaving Su and couldn't refuse her. He never wanted to be in spotlight, but now he does. He wants to work hard with Alia. He then asks why she decided to run with her, and she cutely says in Russian that it's just because it's him. The two then walk down the stairs, and Alia asks who told him about the E-cup. He shakes his hair saying he just heard it, and she mumbles that it's barely right before exiting and leaving the dude in confusion. Yuki is having dinner with her grandpa, who looks like he can fix my daddy issues, and they talk about the student general meeting. He tells her not to lose no matter what the situation is or who her opponent is. Then he also tells her to not end up being stupid and careless like her brother, who does not focus on stuff much. After dinner, Yuki goes upstairs and her mom stops her to make some small talk before she goes to her room and wishes her luck for her Chinese class later on. As soon as Yuki takes her maid Ayana with her in her room and says she wants to hold her now, she puts her face in her honkers and rubs it in as if she wants to get some stress off, and Ayana surely does not seem to mind that. Not gonna lie, it is one heck of a way. The next day after the big debate, it becomes the hot topic of the school, and everyone talks about how Tanyama ran off from the middle of the debate. Kuze turns to Alia and says to her that some guys want to hear about her heroics, diverting their attention toward her. But Alia is a bit confused as to what to say, and Kuza hits his friend's chair to ask her about it, so she talks. As Alia begins to talk, more students get comfortable talking to her about it, and they ask Alia about the strategy she used that made Taniyama run away midway through the speech from the battle she started on her own. Then, Alia notices how people are being harsh to Taniyama, and gets up and tells Kuza to come with her because she needs to talk about something with him, and everyone wonders what happened, that she just got up and went away. Kuza says that there is a task he has to perform, and that is why they have to go outside with her. After that, Alia takes Kuza to a room and tells him that she does not like how Taniyama is being criticized so harshly because they do not know what made Taniyama say those things. But Kuze also knows that they won fair and square, so it is not their fault either, and the best is to just move on with it. Then Alia says that they know that they have not won, but Kuze says that if they want to maintain Taniyama's reputation, their victory in the general meeting won't even count. But still, he says that what she wants to do is important, and Alia says that she of course wants to help Tani. So he agrees with her, and she is shocked that he agrees with her. Seeing his supportive side, Victoria's secrets get wet. Suddenly, he sees that the table moved on its own, and he realizes that someone is there, but now Alia begins to step closer to him, and he knows he gotta change the situation before he becomes part of the rom-com. So he tells the president, who is hiding under the table, to come outside. Embarrassed, he comes out with his girlfriend, and he begins to give an explanation that something fell on the ground, and he just went to pick it up and that's it. But well, they come to a point where they won't talk about anything that happened and leave it at that. Then, Alia and Kuze walk out of the room, and Alia gets hella nervous and runs away. On the other hand, Nono is with her classmates, and as they are talking, Kuze overhears them, but Nono notices. Anyhow, Nono asks if he wants to talk to her somewhere private, and he says yes. So she takes him to an empty classroom and asks if he wants to confess to her because she is already single, and she has not dated anyone who she actually really likes, so it won't be so hard for her to date him. The statement seemed a bit off to him, and Nono says that she does not know what real love actually is. But after a bit of chit-chat, they came down to the main topic of discussion, and it was about Tani. Kuze asks if she can help him cool down the Tani topic a bit, and she wonders why he is asking her for help since she thought they both were enemies. Well, she sent shills to instigate the audience, the shills being her friends. That is when she reveals that she doesn't care about much of her friends other than Sayaki. Then he asks why is he so attached to Tani, and she tells him straight up that she is very much interested in her, and she wants to be with her despite her personality being very complicated. And she is sure that Kuze understands it well too. When one sees a brilliance that one lacks, one can't help but yearn for it. Then Kuze tells her what to do. He wants Nono to make people think that she did not run away from the enemy midway. She agrees to it because it makes sense to her anyway. As soon as she leaves, Ayano and Yuki pop out of the blue and get scared. Yuki confronts him that they found out that he was trying to make contact with their enemy, so they hid under the desk. But Kuze knows that this is not the real reason why Yuki says that she wanted to roleplay a secret meeting in an empty classroom, and she surely was not expecting him to actually do so. Then Alia comes and sees those three together and says that it is normal for them to play together since they grew up side by side too. With that said, she leaves. On the other hand, Nono thinks about when she got slapped by Tani because Tani thought she had had another boyfriend. Secretly, Nono enjoyed the slap, which shows how much of a degradation kink she might actually be having. As Nono returns to the classroom, she tells her classmates that Tani only left the debate midway because of Nono, because she planted some shills, and when Tani found out about it, she got mad at it and left. Meanwhile, Kuze is trying to give an explanation to Alia about the thing earlier, but she does not look convinced. Later, they are doing some work in the students' council office, and they are sitting pretty close. Kuze says that they are a little too close, and Alia asks if that is a problem. He says it is not as long as no one sees them, but well, luck surely is not by his side. His sister and Ayano pops in again and asks if they can study with them, and Alia says they can. Then, Alia notices that he actually is not studying and just staring at the answer sheet, and tells him that it will be wasteful if he keeps doing it like that. But Yuki tells her that he has always studied like that, hence it won't be a problem, and that made Alia sort of jealous. After that, Kuze helps Ayano with some work, but Alia sees that they are very distant. Then Maria comes by, and they all have some tea. Maria picks up a book and tells Alia to hypnotize her with it because she wants to experience hypnosis. So she asks Kuza to do it and he agrees to it. She sits in front of him and Kuze follows the instructions and they work. She falls into hypnosis and then follows instructions to get her back out of the hypnosis. As Maria wakes up, she does not even remember falling unconscious and Ayanov suggests that he should do it to Alia next. Alia agrees and the next moment, she falls unconscious too. As soon as Maria and Alia are unconscious, the gay sister, Yuki of course, says that they can do so much of the erotic stuff with them since they won't even remember it. But Ayanov suggests that they should make them reveal embarrassing secrets or make them do random stuff and see what happens. So Yuki whispers in their ears some instructions regarding stripping their minds and bodies. Both of them get up and start to pat Kuza and soon after, Alia begins to strip and so does Maria, and even if they try to stop them, they can't. So Sarashina steps in and breaks the hypnosis. Kuza is finally relieved that the hypnosis has broken. After a while, Maria and Alia wake up and they wonder why they are lying on a sofa. As soon as they hold their conscience, they see that they are half naked and they scream. Ayano tells them to tidy themselves up before anyone else comes inside and sees what happened. Then, Sarashina goes to Kuza and asks if he saw everything and he says yes. So she asks if he needs a reset by her too, but honestly, who would want to get the sight out of their mind of two hot Russians who just stripped themselves in front of them? So our workaholic dude Kuza is in no darn mood to study for his exam tomorrow. The lad tries his best to slam some sense into his brain, which is psyched about the Sword Hazard anime. However, Kuzen knows he must push hard and do his best, especially when Alia's fate rests on his shoulders. Speaking of the cute devil, she suddenly calls him. Then, Alia mentions the old saying that studying alone means more reasons to slack off. Thus, she is curious to know how his studies are going. With a sigh, Kuza mutters that he totally wants to know her motivational secrets of sticking to the exam prep. But she blows his mind away by spilling that she never runs out of the spirit. To fire up his spirit, she decides to make this exam prep a little exciting by inducing a game. Knowing his goal to be in the top 30 of their grade, Alia, like the cutest Ginny, promises to grant Kuza's any desire. While he fails to fetch his goals, the reverse will befall his bum, and she will get the sweet wish from him. Though this moron clears that he got no masochist thoughts to order her around, but Alia, in Russian, wishes to know some. The bottom line is that Kuze wishes to make her eat the bitter taste of failure when he wins the bet. Moving on, he bets that her ignoring skills have skyrocketed recently, leaving her older brother a little lonely. Flipping her lid, she tries correcting this goofball, but the lad knows this chick dropped on November 7th. Turns out that he landed on April 9th and now is 16 years old, hence older. After ending the call, the buffoon thinks she got some mojo to feel his motivation rate dropping. On the other hand, this chick called that moron out of fear due to a scary movie. Not to mention, this dimwit didn't even slip his birthday, so she could wish him on time as friends. 5 days later, the exams meet their end, and Kuza invites Alia to discuss the closing ceremony on their way home. Suddenly, he notices this chick put the brakes on her Russian feelings since their last call. Before they get down to business, the lad asks if she thinks she is acting a little weird lately. Upon asking, Kuze explains that Alia is her precious partner that he worries for, which makes her heart flutter. Most importantly, this chick demands an explanation for not having his birthday party invite. Well, since elementary school, Kuze hasn't had any parties, unlike Alia's Russian custom. This makes him figure that this silly girl desires to throw him a birthday party a little too badly. Alia's ticked off, saying that Russian customs have this thing that no birthday invites means that person isn't landing on their good books this year. Even then, Kuze pretends to take her word for it, but knows this chick's pretentious moves. Before she walks out, Kuza asks if his birthday party thing is still on. Even 3 months later, he really wishes to get on her good side. Without further ado, he decides to throw a party right after this ceremony thing, hoping she makes it. With a charming smile, Alia giggles before strolling ahead. Later on, Alia, like a ray of sunshine in a gorgeous dress, takes Kuza's breath away. Further on, he continues to yap about summer heat and the school's crappy long-sleeved uniform. All of a sudden, he spots the passersby checking these two out with their jaws practically dropped on the floor. Turns out that Alia is pretty much used to staring. He asks if she gets a hit on like crazy. There she tells her trick of blabbering in Russian until the lads give up, although Kuza had his bets on her sharp tongue, slashing their throats. Suddenly, he mutters to himself that he is relieved to see her not fall for those jerks' pickup lines. Just then, she spills that he is more into acting like her boyfriend. That's where he blurts out that if guys are on a date, they suddenly hop into the boyfriend act routine. After she slips that it's her first time, he continues to brag about this pretty bomb having it first with him. Afterward, at Aged Beef Clan, he drags this chick to a fancy restaurant that is cheap in the daytime. After hearing Olia loves their venison, all his hopes of tooting his horn on this place shatter. Moving on to finding a table, Kuza talks about the closing ceremony from here on out. From the presidential candidate's speech for their ideals, who lays the reason why this person gets to sit on the throne, he mentions this simple no voting procedure. After that, the audience will clap for the team they are rooting for. Turns out that a silent venue also blows the horns of failure. Even Kuze expects not to hear much uproar like in the case with Yuki. Laying the plan to keep the gap from widening, Alia thinks it's rather a bit negative. But Yuki craves to know the power gap and wishes to do their damn best on the first speech. Until then, asking Alia to reserve the first spot to have enormous cheers is also a trick. Along with this, he explains about attacking Yuki and Ayano's minds, but Alia is not that type and he hopes the other parties don't go for it either. Out of the blue, their delicious food arrives and Kuze raises his glass to toast celebrating with Alia. Moving on, Alia sounds curious when asking about Miyami's rumor. He remembers that Blondie spills about Sayaki, who got to know about planted shills in the audience. He talks about Miyami spreading the word herself. As Taniyama's rumors settle, the general meeting result becomes ambiguous. Can't question the result, Alia chooses to thank Kuza for his help. After spotting him blush, Alia picks up the bite of meat and hushes this puppy to open his mouth. Kuze is pretty psyched about Alia expressing her feelings in Japanese now, seizing the golden chance to attack. After the indirect kissing incident, he is shocked to see her not even flinch before eating from the same spoon. The lad is convinced she is leading him on. Afterward, Alia gifts him a couple's mug while she casually slips that hers is in use at home. Off his rocker, he blushes so damn hard, believing that this bold chick will not let him have a win today. Waiting for the PT conference, Kenzaki discusses the summer uniforms with the whole council. Upon asking, Kenzaki slips that new uniforms might be in use after the summer break as a surprise in the closing ceremony. Seeing everyone is psyched to have this done soon, Chisaki and Kenzaki throw each other credits for making this happen. That said, Masha serves the lot some tea while Kuze worries if she is still upset about the hypnosis thing. With Kenzaki off to a PT meeting, Kuze decides to help Masha with the cleaning. Finally apologizing for the hypnosis thing, Masha dares to ask if something strange went on after that. Turns out that Masha had a cute patting session with Kuze and Alia. More importantly, she learns that Kuze had a look at it, declaring him the pervy sage. However, Kuze finds her a total cutie pie when angry. Suddenly, she gives him a nice pinching cheek session for punishment. Later, Masha goes for her PT meeting, leaving the rest to Kuza. With everyone gone, Yuki got Kuza for herself. There, Yuki goes ballistic to have a brother-sister talk after a long time. Thus, she pitches a fit about him having a blast with Alia. Moreover, she crawls up on the table like a sad kitten he left all alone. Without further ado, Yuki commands this goofball to step closer and shower some love on her. On his first try, she burst into laughter. Afterward, he gets with his grandpa and flies off the handle when he sees him looking like a narcissistic mafia. Further on, Grandpa learns that Kyutaru got busy with the British Embassy. Suddenly, his grandpa jumps a mile high, seeing Alia, the miracle of Eastern Europe. Trying to strangle this old fool, he explains to Alia that this geezer admires Russia a little too much. Suddenly, Alia's hot mother, Akemi, steps in to meet Kuza, who appears to be a polite fella. She says that she has heard so much about him. Without wasting a breath, Grandpa sneaks this chance to ask Alia if she would like to be his granddaughter and marry Kuza. All of a sudden, Kuza, like a massive bombshell, bursts so loudly to make his grandpa shut up. Even Alia's mother bugs her with that marriage proposal. After the PT meeting, Kuze and his grandpa suddenly runs into a sudden twist. Kuze's mother, Yumi, appears before his eyes as the harsh memories swirl back into his mind. Kuze wakes up from a bad dream and he feels really unwell. The dream was a horrible flashback from his past, which just showed how his mom was always mad at him for not doing better and better. As a child, he would try to do his best to please his mom, but she was just not having it. Somebody got all his reas from his mommy issues. As soon as he wakes up, he realizes he is burning with fever. Then the doorbell rings and he goes to see who it is. It is Alia, his hot Russian girlfriend who came to check up on him after his sister told her that he is unwell. She bought some groceries and meds with her too. Kuze feels embarrassed because he is not doing well, and this is not the state he wanted her to see and come to his house. But she insists that she wants to come inside and take care of him. So Kuze is hesitant at first but invites her inside as if he is hiding his side chick from her. He brings her to his room, sits on the bed, and tells her not to feel nervous. Alia says she is not nervous and enters the room. As soon as she enters the room, she comments that her room smells like a guy. No idea if that is a compliment or an insult. Then she asked him what porridge he would like, and he chose regular porridge since borscht porridge would take 2 hours to be ready. Like a good girlfriend, she goes to the kitchen and begins to prepare porridge for him. That is when she sees the mug that she got for him, and he has been using it, which makes her really happy. After a while, the porridge is ready, and she enters Kuze's room. The moment Kuze lays his eyes on her, with the apron on, he totally melts and starts to flirt with her. She sits beside him while he eats. He tells her that the porridge tastes really good, but Alia does not seem to care much about it and asks where his parents are, and he tells her that his dad is working, and he does not have a mom. Basically, he is motherless. That is news to Alia. Anyhow, he is done eating, and she picks up his utensils. Kuze says he is going to sleep now and she can go home, but Alia says that she wants to take care of him, so she will study in the living room till he wakes up. So Alia switches off the light and Kuze falls asleep. He wakes up hours later and checks the time on his phone. He realizes that it has been way too long and Alia must have gone home by now. So Kuze gets up and goes into the living room, only to find Ayano and Alia together. As soon as Ayano sees Kuze, she tells him to lean over her for better support because he is sick. Kuze feels nervous since her maid outfit is sort of Sue's and her cherries are not covered up well either. Alia tells her to step away from him since she feels jealous, but Ayano says that it is her duty since she is his maid and she will take care of him. Then, Ayano tells Alia to go home and that she should be preparing for tomorrow anyways. Kuze asks what tomorrow is, but Alia tells him she just has school, that is it. Then, Alia begins to leave and tells Ayano to take care of him well. After she leaves, Ayani serves Kuze the borscht Alia made for him. As soon as he takes the first bite of it, he loves how good it tastes. After he is done eating, Ayano gives him the med and tells him to get some sleep. But she offers him that she can bathe him and no sane man would decline that offer. Anyhow, Kuze says that he does not want it. So Ayano gives an alternate option, and that is she can wipe his body. She surely is irresistible at times. But Kuze says no and orders her to go and sleep in Yuki's room. Ayano finally leaves him alone and he goes to sleep. The next day he wakes up at 11 and sees that Ayano took the day off from school too to serve him and take care of him. Not gonna lie, she is way more waifu than Alia. Ayano asks how Kuze is feeling now and he tells her that he is feeling better. So she gives him his first meal of the day, and after he finishes it, she gives him his meds. As he takes a look at the meds, he orders her to bring the packaging of it, and it turns out that those were sleeping pills he had been taking. Ayano right away begins to say sorry and how she should have made him aware of it. He realizes that it is Yuki's doing, so he can't make it to school, and he keeps on sleeping and she basically sets him up. But he looks at the time and gets up right away and goes to school to see what happened, even though he really needs to rest more. As he is in the hallway, he hears everyone chat about Yuki and Alia. Kuze reaches the classroom and sees that Alia is crying. She tells him that they failed and she is very sorry. Then, Alia tells him about what happened with Yuki. She gave her pills to Kuze, and Alia did not know that they were sleeping pills. After that, Yuki jumps on Alia to come to the school's midday broadcast so they can talk about the general meeting. Alia denies it, to which Yuki begins to nag her until she says yes. Of course, Alia saw all the evil intentions she had behind it. So she prepared for everything, and when the broadcast began, Yuki apologized for what she said yesterday and Alia forgave her for that. Yuki sat back confidently, a subtle grin on her face, as she began explaining her reason for running in the presidential elections. She acknowledged that it might sound like an excuse, but there was more to it. Yuki had an older brother, someone everyone had always admired. He was brilliant, and the family had placed all their hopes on him to be the successor of the prestigious Su family. He was the star, the golden child destined to take the reins. But now he was no longer around, leaving an empty space behind. With her brother gone, the weight of those expectations had fallen squarely on Yuki's shoulders. She wanted to be the one to carry on the family's legacy and live up to everything her brother had been set to achieve. It wasn't just about winning, it was about proving herself worthy of that inheritance. As Yuki wrapped up her explanation, she casually turned to Alia, whose brain was now racing in all directions. Yuki had made her point sound almost noble, and Alia had no compelling reason in comparison. Her mind blanked at the worst possible moment. The question caught her completely off guard. What was her motivation again? Why had she even decided to run? Nothing seemed to come to mind, and panic settled in as the broadcast began. It was the perfect setup for Yuki to shine, and Alia, floundering without a response, realized she was now on the back foot. Coming back to the moment, Kuza tells Alia that she needs to understand that Yuki is still setting her up to make her hopes lower so that she can't win the election, and there is still hope for Alia to win. He snaps her right back into reality so she can prepare without feeling frustrated. Alia looks at him and sees him smiling and likes the expression. Then she says that she was unable to answer why she wanted to be the president of the student council. Because Alia wants to be the president for herself, but Yuki wants to be the president to fulfill her family's expectations. Soon enough, she begins to frown and gets sad, but Kuza tells her that Alia is way more sincere and equally charming as Yuki, and she will win. He literally got on one knee, which made it look like a love confession. Then, Nono and Tani enter the room to apologize for all the rude things they have said or done to them. Alia forgives them, and so does Kuza, because he is a bootlicker of his girlfriend. Then Tani says that she is going to withdraw from the competition too. But Kuza asks her to support in another way. Even though Tani thinks that Kuze should stand with Suu's family, she knows why Kuze chose Alia, and she agrees with him to support her. With that said, Nono agrees to support her too because she is also in love with Tani and wants to act like a bootlicker.